Black Panther Wakanda Forever is the movie that MCU fans need, and here's why. Phase 4 of the MCU has been pretty lackluster this year in terms of its movies, and my heart was broken by it. But then Black Panther Wakanda Forever came along and reunited me with that joy that I used to get while watching these movies. All's right with the world once again. First and foremost, this movie was a beautiful tribute to the life of Chadwick Boseman, who tragically passed away in 2020. And I took his death pretty hard because his role of T'Challa, the Black Panther, was something that transcended fantasy. Like, it was something that not just for me, but all black people could be inspired by. And all of a sudden he was gone, and we felt the pain of that. That's basically what this movie's about, learning to grieve, but to also celebrate the life of the people we love, and Wakanda Forever captures that perfectly. Just the way this passes the torch of Black Panther without spoiling it didn't feel cheap. It felt like it was truly honoring Boseman, the legacy he built with the character, and what he meant to people around the world. This aspect of the movie was magnified by the performances of the cast. Like, seriously, across the board, everyone brought their A game. And if I had a bag full of awards, I would just start chucking them at the cast. Like, take it all, you deserve it, They do deserve it. I definitely want to put a spotlight on Angela Bassett, who returns with a powerful performance as Queen Ramonda, because she's a mom who's trying to remain strong, not just for her family, but also her country. And at one point in the movie, she had this monologue that literally gave me cold chills. I swear, it started at the base of my neck and went through my right arm for some reason, and then it just went back into my spine and then just simmered throughout the rest of my body. It was like, ooh, I'm feeling this queen energy. That was definitely an Oscar-winning monologue if I've ever seen one. They better put Bassett's name on that ballot. Letitia Wright as Shuri, I just want to applaud her because she has so much on her plate. I assume it's difficult to be a supporting character in one movie and then all of a sudden you're a main character in the next, and you have to be able to bring it. But Wright, she just takes that ball and runs with it. I have so much respect for her. Shuri is still dealing with the loss of her brother T'Challa, and the whole movie she's rejecting the grieving process in order to avoid the pain. And because of that, Shuri's emotions were all over the place in this movie. But it was beautiful how Wright was able to just adapt to her character throughout the story, and it totally sold me on her. Letitia Wright was fantastic and deserving of this lead role. I don't care what the haters say, she did a great job. Now, if I can geek out a little bit, I also really loved what they did with the character Namor. I understand that Marvel had to make some changes to his background so that he's not too similar to DC's Aquaman, but personally, I thought the changes were an upgrade. I love the ancient Mayan influence of his character. I love the underwater city of Talokan, that was really cool. I loved how Namor got his name. He had a really cool backstory. Like, he was just much more interesting in this movie than he is in the comics. I said it, I'm totally willing to argue against all three of Namor's fans out there. But my favorite thing about him though was how similar he still was to Namor in the comics. He was a king with a bad attitude. He would do whatever it takes to keep his kingdom safe, even killing innocent people if necessary. Doesn't matter who they are, he'll kill you. He's just a huge jerk, and I love him for it. And his powers were cool. He's super strong, he was fast, he can live underwater, but the coolest thing was that he could fly. And the reason he could fly was because he had wings on his ankles. Looks silly, but during scenes where he was flying, the camera would put a lot of emphasis on showing his wings working up close and how they help him change direction in the air. So it was like he was ricocheting off stuff. It was cool. I definitely want to see more of Namor in the MCU. Like, let's get a solo movie going. The best thing about Wakanda Forever though is that it allowed itself to be serious. Like, I like humor as much as the next guy, but the MCU has been doing way too much of it in its movies, and it was ruining moments that had potential to be great. This movie does have some funny MCU humor in it, but those moments are very rare. Wakanda Forever instead lets you feel the hurt, the sadness, the anger, because that's the premise of the movie. You have to feel these things in order to grieve, and it was perfect. The best moments though are when characters are just sitting there and it's quiet. There's no music, there's no talking, they're just feeling. Shuri would be sitting there thinking about her brother, her kingdom, and in those silent moments, I felt like I was in her head. I could tell what she was thinking, what she was feeling. It was incredible. It felt like I was getting even closer to her character through the silence. That's how powerful it was. And it was one of the best things that I've seen in a movie this year. Oh, I needed this movie so badly. So badly. That being said, Wakanda Forever is not perfect. The main issue being that it tries to do way too much with its story. Because it's close to being 3 hours long, but it easily could have been a little over 2 without altering the main story. A good chunk of time is spent on introducing and hanging out with the new character Riri Williams, aka Ironheart, and I really like her. I thought she was cool, but in the grand scheme of the plot, she wasn't that important. Like, you could have taken her out and no one would have noticed. There's also a little thing with Martin Freeman's character that really had no impact on the story. He was just there and he should have been cut out of it too. But because those parts are in the movie, it really drags down the story and makes it incredibly slow at parts. If it wasn't for the main cast going beast mode, I probably would have been bored. Overall, this movie is a breath of fresh air that MCU fans needed because this year has been rough. The story is more about the inner journey of the characters more than it is about Wakanda fighting Talokan, and you see that through the performances of the cast, and in that aspect, this movie was beautiful. Is it perfect? No, it could have been better, but the way it explores grief and how it respects the legacy of Chadwick Boseman really touched my heart and it brought me to tears. I loved it. I loved it so much. Go see it. Please go see it. Black Panther Wakanda Forever isn't a B-Town movie, it's an A-Town movie. Keep the party going by watching even more of my reviews by clicking on the boxes right here, and I'll see you in a bit.